1212. Hello out there. Let me just quickly make the announcement that we're live. Ouch. There we go. My phone's screwing. Okay. So, what are we going to be doing in today's stream? So, today, this is going to be more of an educational stream compared to what I usually do. So, those of you, likely most of the people are gonna be watching a replay of this video. So I'll try to be as educative as I possibly can, because well, this stream will consist of 60% of me just talking, 30% of me explaining how people make this structure and what really makes the cool structure, and then 10% of reviews, the map reviews, if we're gonna get any. And I'm looking to fit all of those in like uh maybe like next 3 4 hours. I think 2 hours will be more than enough to explain what really is the structure, and then we're gonna be doing some reviews if I'm not too tired, that is. I shall sit down and listen carefully. Hello, Voikaria. Second, you are Sekiri. Anyways, alrighty. So today, let's dive into this OSU mapping structure. And the question is gonna be what makes a good map and why some maps just feel right while others feel completely off. I'll try to give you guys real clear idea. So, uh, I have a small script right here, so I'm just gonna be reading that in case you're wondering where all these fancy words come from, because I usually say a lot of F words. So there's gonna be none today, I swear. So even though most of the people like think that it's all about placing the circles, because you know that's cool and yada yada. There's really a fundamental logic behind why great maps are so satisfying to play, and it all comes down to how well the mapper organized their ideas into something cohesive, intuitive, and impactful. Hello, Bridget. So we're not just gonna be talk about this in theory, of course. Gonna be going through some real maps that are structurally interesting, breaking them down, and show exactly why they work. We'll analyze how top mappers apply these concepts, and I'll show you that you can do the very same thing in your own maps. So by the end of this, you should have a much clearer understanding of what makes a good map and how to improve your own mapping skills. Okay? So uh, now mapping structure, what it really means. Let me pull out something. Okay, I gotta check if it captures my display. It does. Okay. So let's pull out something like Photoshop. So I might need this to draw something. So while it's opening, at its core, the mapping structure is mainly about two things: how the map represents the music and how the map establishes and follows its own rules. Okay? So um hold up a second. What is the size that we need? Let's go by this for default. like that. And we're gonna have the black brush ready in case I need this, because I might. You never know. So these two things that I've said, this define everything in mapping. Structured mapping feels cohesive and intentional, and messy map feels random and disconnected. But don't get me wrong, map still can be messy and still can be messy, but cohesive and intentional. Like as an example, like Halgo and all of these new gen mapper gang. It's pretty messy, but it's pretty good at the same time. So the way we control this structure comes down to three main elements of the mapping. It's the rhythm choice, so basically how the timeline is structured and how clicking slash timing relates to the music. And number two is going to be a movement, because that's how the cursor reacts with the patterns, how aiming feels, how it flows, etc., etc. And number three is gonna be visuals, how the map looks and how readable it is to player. For some, it's also an appeal, like how appealing the map it is to player. So each of these elements is basically how player experiences the map. If they don't work together, the map just feels off, even if it follows the song well, right? So now I'll do a quick rundown on each one of these that I've just said just now. So we can start with the rhythm choice, because that's pretty much the core of the map's identity. So I would say the rhythm is the most fundamental part of any map, because it defines how the player interacts with the music. A strong rhythm structure, which makes a map feel connected to the song, while weak makes it just disjointed and unresponsive. So key aspects of the good rhythm structure would be to follow musical emphasis. Strong bits should feel impactful, while weak bits should feel lighter. That overall gives just better representation of the music, and on the playfield, it just makes a lot of sense when somebody else is looking at the map. Uh, Another thing is just consistent snap divisions, because if there's a section which is mapped like mostly in say 1/8 notes, suddenly switching to 1/4 notes for no reason can really feel unnatural and confusing for the player. And another thing is going to be appropriate density. So a calm piano section shouldn't have the same level of complexity as an intense drum solo. Okay. And common rhythm mistakes are overmapping versus undermapping. If a slow vocal phase has rapid bursts, it feels excessive. If an intense drum section has only a few clicks, it feels just empty. So those are the kind of things that I will show you today. um, Ignoring the musical layer is another thing, because if the song has drums, vocals, and piano, a good map should highlight which elements matter the most rather than trying to map everything at once or ignoring the rest of the layers, something along the lines with. Uh, Unclear rhythm choice really associated with what I've just said right now, because if the map constantly switches between the rhythms without a real clear reason, it is just like adds up to this confusion of the player. Uh, let's just quickly check. I forgot to check if we have the sound from game. Where is this thing? Yeah, I don't think we do. So let's quickly make this happen. Because if I show you a rhythm and you guys can't hear the rhythm, that's gonna be one way to explain it. Just spare me a second so I can set it up in a way that you guys get the audio. Should be getting it now. Hello, what's happening? Okay, luckily, I already have the example ready and I don't have to look for it live. So I'll just let you watch this map. And we're not even talking about the structure here. It's just purely rhythm. This is just bad example of rhythm that you should never be using. We're gonna see the good examples once I finish all the talking. I'm pretty sure based on what I have explained so far, those of you who listen to me properly can already tell why this map is good. Not good, bad. I'm tripping. Well, anyways, I'm not gonna be looking at entire map because it's pretty obvious this miss entire sound thing like follow some weird layers of the vocal and there's drums. It's a rock song. Have you seen a stream map like this? No, so it's a bad map. Period. Now, another thing that I want to talk about. So it was the rhythm I said, movement and the visual, right? So the movement is basically how the cursor interacts with the map because say movement is what makes the map feel satisfying even if the rhythm is perfect and the movement just not enjoyable, like it means that there's something that just doesn't feel right, doesn't click on the movement. So well structured movement pattern considers flow, which means how smoothly the cursor moves between the objects, spacing, how distance represents the musical intensity, and the angle control. So that basically means either your angle is sharp or soft. So how sharp or soft turns influence difficulty and the comfort. Because usually these sharp angles along the lines with this are pretty comfortable because this creates this smooth, good 60 degrees. And wide angles along the lines with this, what is the degree of these? I have no fucking clue. Let's say it's like 180. It's not 180. There's no way. It's like, say this is 152, right? Doesn't matter. So this is something that is not considered to be comfortable because of the how wide the angle is right here. It makes this into proper like that. So what that means, uh, it sounds a little bit schizo, but 99% of the mappers, even the type of mappers who only map like these generic maps, they really are attentive to this because this is the kind of detail that you see in every single map. Like you take the map, you choose it, you will see the angle control pretty much everywhere. No matter if it's an A map, if it's a flow map, if it's a tech map, if it's a rhythm control, there's an angle everywhere, everywhere you go. So one thing that people might misunderstand is that I don't mean to not use this at all. That's stupid, and I will never say that. Okay, you can use this, but you have to combine these two. Okay, how do we associate this like this? And once you combine these two, then you have somewhere in between, you find this, and this is different for each and everybody. Because, for example, with my mapping style, it just works better to have a cleaner aesthetics, and this type of mapping, I prefer this over this. Okay, I rarely use any weird awkward angles in my maps. So for somebody like Fato, for example, this works better because he uses the awkward angles more than the 60-degree angles. Okay, so this is the part that's called an experimenting, and you kind of have to figure this out yourself based on what kind of reference you have. For example, if you write Broic map, you're going with this, okay? If you like Halgo map, you're going with this. If you like the Czar map, you're kind of gonna be in between. So that's the pretty much all the ideology there is, all the philosophy that the angles have. Uh, the bad examples of like bad movement design example would be an unnecessary flow breaks. So that means if a player has to constantly change the direction in a way that doesn't match the music, it feels forced. So that's automatically considered bad. Inconsistent space scaling. So that means if a calm section has huge jumps but a high energy, section has tiny movement, it creates this disconnect in between the movement. And another thing is overuse of awkward angles, which I see a lot of beginner mappers doing. So that means if every pattern requires a sharp, uncomfortable movements, it just feels like unnatural to play. So movement should feel like deliberate and controlled. Even discomfort should be intentional, not accidental, okay? And I really want to underline this because a lot of the times I see beginner mappers just accidentally doing this. And as an example, I will quickly show you here my map, one of my old maps. It's a shit map. And you can see like this map uses no structure. It's just shit map. Booba. That's right. I should know how to choose a background. Even though I did not know how to map, I knew how to choose a background. I've been banger mapper from the start. Anyways, this is not even that good of an example because this map structurally sucks. It doesn't do anything, like literally anything. But I think it's good enough of an example to understand. Like, even here, if I were to quickly draw the schizographs, like this is just like that, okay? So this is what I'm talking about. So if you were to make this, hold up, we're gonna get it right. That would be wider than this, right? This. Very clear drawing, I see. My drawing skills are great. Anyways, we need more backgrounds like this in ranked for no particular reason. This background, I'm pretty sure it's unrankable. But it just pleases my eyes to look at that map time to time. It just works. Anyways, let's talk about visuals and aesthetics of the map in general. Because this is the type of topic where everybody parts their ways. Because some might like Sotark's aesthetics, right? Some might like Halgo's aesthetics. Some might like Pedal's aesthetics. And I could go on about this for forever. So now I'll give you the general pointers, like what you should be considering when you're making your visuals, okay? Because visual structure is often overlooked, but it's just as important as rhythm and movement. A visually well structured map, I would say, is clear. Objects are spaced in a way that makes sense and are easy to recognize. So that means um, map, like you don't have to guess like what am I doing in my map. You can just get that information by just looking at the map. That's what I mean by clear. Balanced is another thing. Patterns should feel structured rather than scattered. And time to time, this might be untrue because nowadays there are a lot of mappers who are just pushing the mapping limits and just doing some random slider shit. And while that works as well, even that kind of messy mapping is balanced to some extent that it makes sense. And aesthetic, which is my personal preference, that the map looks clean, even without any kind of skin elements. It should look clean, okay? So I would say good visual design is symmetry and patterning. So that's if a map uses a triangular patterns, it should maintain that shape where appropriate. Another thing would be consistent spacing. So that means if jumps gradually increase, it should be progressive, not random. So that means like when you have this much spacing, is okay. Let me make more proper drawing. So you have this much spacing in between these two objects. That's a weird drawing. What is this? Anyways, and you suddenly increase this spacing to this. So it should not be like this. It should gradually increase like this and then like that, etc., etc., right? That's what I mean. So, uh, another thing a lot of new mappers struggle with is overlaps. So, overlap usage should be intentional. So, that means if objects overlap, it should create some kind of emphasis and not because they were randomly placed and you never cared if this object overlaps or not. Okay. Now, while we're at it, I might as well tell you the common mistakes about the visuals. So that's gonna be number one, messy overlaps. So if circles and sliders constantly overlap in an unorganized way, it makes the map harder to read for no reason. Inconsistent object scalings. So basically, what I've said before, but in reverse. Say if you were to not properly increase the spacing, that would be bad. So this example and this example right here, where you properly increase like this all three together, that's good. That usually 99% maps to. So now I want to talk about a little bit. This is like a theory from my friend Bokru. Shout out to Bokru. So he likes to use the term internal and external structure, and all of the elements that I've went through so far combine into these two. So internal structure would be the logic that the map follows within itself. Like, does it stay consistent with its own ideas? Are similar sections mapped in similar ways? And external structure would be the how map represents the music. Does it capture the song's energy shifts, intensity, and phrasing, etc., etc. Both of these, uh, both of these parts must be balanced. And if a map is internally structured but doesn't match the music, it just feels robotic. It's like AI generated. If it's externally accurate but has no internal consistency, it just feels chaotic. So you have to balance, like find balance in between these two things. Because a great map finds the right balance between the predictability and music expression. And usually that is something I value a lot. And I've been holding the cigarette this whole time, and I haven't inhaled a single time I've been talking so much. Like I have a whole potato in my mouth. Anyways, so what I was saying is the great map. I call great map the map that finds a perfect balance between predictability and music expression. Because playing map is as important as map making sense. Because well, if you have a like I don't know like a hip hop song and you make a tack map out of it, it's not gonna make a lot of sense, right? I hope you would agree with me, right? Uh, Up to 90 is still comfy, I think. Can be, yeah. 90-degree jumps are also seen a lot, which is like this. I think this is 45. My math is absolutely disgusting, but and whatever. If you mean like this, it's fine. Yeah, a lot of maps use that. So, uh, now let's move on to this part because I've been like talking for solid 30 minutes now. And now that we've covered the theory, I would like to take a look at some real maps and break them down for you guys. Uh, what we will be looking for in these maps. We're going to be looking for how they establish their structure, how rhythm, movement, and visuals work together, and how internal and external structure are balanced. This will just give you a real world look at how great maps apply these principles so you can learn from them and improve your own mapping. And one more thing, a lot of new mappers try to invent the bicycle by themselves, which is absolutely stupid. Inventing the bicycle, square is 90. Oh, okay. But square is not comfortable, by the way. This is not a comfortable movement. And I'll explain to you why really quick. So, imagine there's like four circles like that. So, to move from this circle to this, you apply force that way, right? Let's take a different color. Let's say whatever we have here, like this. So, you apply force to here. Then you have to apply an opposite force to stop the movement because you can't directly like throw your hand up, right? So you apply two forces on each like jump you make when you have a square pattern, just like that. And now if we take the triangular pattern, which is gonna look something along the lines with this, you don't have to apply any opposite force to stop the movement, and instead it just flows with your movement. You just apply a single force this way and you just apply another force this way because there's a much less difficulty elements, and this is much more brain dead to play than this because this actually requires you to have some aim. But if you remove one circle from the square, it doesn't really change anything. So let's remove the one circle from here. Let's remove this from here. So now what are we left with is a wide angle that looks like this. Are we talking about the movement theory? No, we're talking about the structure in general. Uh, movement lecture. It's a little bit of an everything because I don't know, like a movement. If you ask me, I already said that the structure is made by rhythm, movement, and visuals. That's the three things that really make the structure, and there's nothing more to it. So I'm gonna be explaining a little bit of an everything. Uh, this looks very much like movement. That's right, because we're at the movement part. So, so this is something that we would say is uncomfortable. And this is something that is comfortable right here. So, mm, that's like 10th unique definition of structure I've received. Oh, okay. Well, it doesn't matter, guys. Like, I'll try my best to give you the as best idea of how a structure works as I can. And I have a couple of different types of map here that we're gonna be looking at. Let's go with Jizag's map first, because I'm pretty much done talking. Rather than me explaining all of this verbally, it's just better for me to reinforce what I've said so far uh, with an actual examples, because everything that I've said so far in past 30 minutes, it's all gonna prove that I was just like saying everything right. So let's watch this map first, and then I'll be breaking down this map. And the Jason map, the master of the structure. Jason mapping is low-key peak. Actually, I feel really bad that I used Jason's map as a bad rhythm example. And if any of you came here for a review, by the way, you can just redeem the map, and we're gonna be going through the queue after I finish all of this talk about the structure. Is it a Jizag map? That's right. Okay, how long is this map? It's 3 minutes, okay. Damn, man. Last time I watched you, you had 4 followers, I think. Grind is going good. Of course it is. I streamed like solid 8 hours the other day to like hit the goal of 50 followers so I could have a channel points. Redeem is unavailable. That's not possible. It's open. There's a cooldown probably. Okay, let's quickly remove that. I didn't. I thought it was per user. No, I thought it was per user. I'll remove that right now. So where's the cooldown? Okay, fuck you. There we go. There's no cooldown now. This is a funny map. This is a banger map. This is a really great map to explain grouping and patterning, but I will not be doing that today. Maybe briefly, but I will not be going in depth. Because this map has a great music representation. It's cool how it changed aesthetics when it goes to softer part. Okay. So now let's go from the start, and I'll try my best to explain what exactly he does in this map. So here we don't have a lot going on. It's just the beginning of the music, and this part is probably the most like less least intense part in this music. So this is mapped like very chill. It almost takes zero effort to hit. You don't actually need to follow this slider, right? You just click this. It's like you stop the movement, then you snap to this, and you just double tap this. As simple as that. And every time, like this sound is absolutely harsher than this sound right here. If you just listen to this. So this shows in his slider design because this is very pointy and aggressive slider, while this is very calm and like feminine slider. It doesn't have any red points in it. That's what I mean. And quick explanation: all of the sliders that does not have a red points, I'll be calling them feminine sliders. Okay. Any slider that do not have this is feminine, and any slider that has this is masculine. Okay. And you can see that he's consistent with his ideas so far. Every time he has this harsh sound, you can see that there's a harsh slider there. Now, this is almost like this sound. It's not exactly as harsh as this, but this is pretty harsh sound. Like I think 90% of the people would agree that having like feminine sliders on this one would feel weaker than having these masculine sliders right now. Why they do? Spike with curves. What about the intersex sliders? I don't know about those, man. So here it goes like this is not the same pitch, right? This changing the pitch. This, then this are same like different pitch. You can hear that if you listen to music. It's as easy as that. So the movement here looks like this. So this is pretty comfortable movement if you ask me, because it's pretty snappy. If I were to draw it properly, it would look something like this, which is pretty much a triangle with quite comfortable angles. And we have the coolest section. Like this is one of the coolest text sections that I've seen. Nice tool. This tool is called, it's called what it's called? I don't know what it's called. Bro, it doesn't have a name. I guess we don't know. We'll never know, bro. I think it's snap something. No? Okay. Screw it. Fuck this tool. So now, this is called something along the lines with concept. Concept, in essence, is print screen, literally. Oh, print screen, right? It's called the print screen. So, concept, ideally, like it's just an idea. Everybody has some concept in the map. It's just matter of how well you execute your ideas. So let's see this part. I won't be saying much. And this is a cool concept because movement and visuals really connect well in this part. Okay, now let's go back and I'll try to break down this section. So the movement here goes like this. This once they are same sound, while these three are different sounds. So instead of sticking with the comfortable angles like he did here, he goes wide angle here. Because if you look at the sliders closely, what it does, it creates this angle. And I have already explained that this is quite wide right here. This is definitely not a 60-degree, right? So he uses the wide angle for emphasis. Emphasis is basically, I'm pretty sure everybody knows, but it's when you want to put like accent on something in the song that you want to emphasize. I don't know how to explain that shit. I can't draw on the screen like that with a print screen. It's an external application. It doesn't come with the Windows, my boy John. And also, you guys have to wait for me like 2 minutes at most because I run out of the cigarette and I gotta bring a new pack. Just 2 minutes and I'll be back. All right, that was quick. Unhealthy also mapping. He's smoking on stream. Oh my god. Anyways, let's go back into it. So, what do we have here? Same sounds are located on exactly same spots. Starting from here, you can see this, and this are stacked on top of each other, which structurally connects it very well. If I were to like show you how far you can take this concept, I would probably be showing you a Hollow Wings map. Uh, it's called a Grimoire. Why does it not come up? It would look something like this. If you look at this, every clap is located in the middle of the screen. So you can really do some crazy shit with the ideas. It's all up to you. Like, mapping provides you with enough freedom. And now you go somewhere, random part. Clap is always here. Anyways, let's go back to the map. So it's pretty simple. So this firstly goes up in the pitch. This raise is starting from here. Like this is higher pitch than this. Because this goes down. This goes up. So what he does here, he starts off with slow sliders. Not slow, what it's called, small sliders. And the slider goes bigger in size. And then he does exactly opposite. Where is this? Yeah, yeah. As the pitch is going down here, he starts with bigger slider and ends with the small slider. And this is pretty much same here. While keeping this going here. And if you notice, the movement is always almost same angle. You don't have to map like with a calculator to get this correctly. It's enough if you just place it by eye. You just have to be aware of what you're doing. And now, if you notice, he switched the placement of the circle. Okay, actually he did this before this, right here. And if you ask me why does he do this, there's not really any answer to that. He wants to, and he does this. Like he could literally put this circle inside, like into the same place. It's just, if he does that, he will never be able to use this part of the playfield, and maybe this one he will be able to. So he wants to use the playfield because the playfield is provided for you to use it, right? So it's like if burnt rice with different rhythm. So We usually call that, he does it, I would say he does it for sake of variety, so it doesn't look samey and boring, and the movement keeps going instead of doing same shit over and over. But the idea still stays same. Like this is very snappy, and these are very awkward angles. So as long as the execution is same, it doesn't matter. Like the more variety you have, it's like better it is, as long as it's not turning into something stupid. Principle still stays the same. When it's going down in pitch, it's big slider, medium, small, and when it's going up, it's small, medium, big. And here, it's the music is like going really, really low on pitch. So guess what? Slider size is doing same. Now here, what happens, if you notice, there's a small difference between this section and this section. Because we have this finish sound here in this section. So he changed, in essence, this is very same, like continuation of the same idea, but he goes to here. You see how he starts up and then he continues this pattern from here. Wait, let me find that. From here. You can see it's the same pattern, but just rotated on the axis, maybe 60 degrees or something along the lines with. And now this part is clearly less intense than this part. And it's clearly also less intense than this one. So nothing special, just the circles. Minimum spacing. Nothing special here. Then we go into build-up part. So now if you ask me, why the slider velocity goes into small and then big again? There's an SFX sound in behind. This is firstly going quiet, and then it's starting to raise. And you can clearly tell that song is building up the intensity. So this is where the idea of acceleration stream comes from. And you can tell the song went like weird. I don't know what's it, the vocal chop? Is that what it's called? I don't know. And in this section here, this is called the rhythm control, I think. And it sounds like this part, but more intense. So it looks like that part, but the rhythmically it's more intense. And you can double check that by yourself. This sound right here is not this sound, right? Where's the kick? Whatever, I like, it's not this sound right here. Hold up. I will not find it now. This one. So again, this slider here is not pointy, and instead it's like wavy. Now this sounds, if we compare this to this, it's much more aggressive than this one. So correspondingly, it is masculine, very masculine. And about the grouping, the way he groups the objects is, he really is the goat of the grouping objects, because this like this group of sounds, I don't know, like in any music there is a certain group of sounds, not entire song is the same group of sounds, right? So you can, I don't know, choose what grouping you want to follow and just do it. It's as stupid as that. It's the matter of being able to listen to music. I also had some troubles when I was learning how to do a proper grouping, and luckily I had a Jordan. Jordan pretty much is the one who taught me about the proper grouping. Same logic here. We've seen this pattern a couple of times. So every time he has this sound, he just repeats the pattern and it doesn't look pointy because this sound is not as aggressive as this one, for example. Right? This is pretty aggressive sound. So this is pretty much the movement part. So the song is not intense, but intense at the same time. Right? It's basically this section, but there's a vocals now. So what he does, like to hit, let me put it this way, okay? So you move, like this is pretty easy to hit because, well, this is, look at how big this slider is. But these are kick sliders, 2 and 3. And if you look, it looks very much samey as this one right here, this one. So you enter from this is pretty much, you don't even follow this properly. You just hold your mouse until like here. This is amount of movement probably that you have in this slider here. You jump onto this, hold the mouse here, and then you jump onto this and hold the mouse here again. And this in total emphasize the fucking, what it's called. Oh shit, I said fucking. I broke the rules. Anyways, you emphasize the vocals more, and while you're emphasizing the vocals, you're not missing out to emphasize the drums. And you can see that by what's happening in that section. Spacing is big only between the kick sliders. You know why? Because there's this sound on 3. Let's go back, find somewhere this pattern again. See, like, it's pretty much same everywhere. This one, 2. Every time he has this sound, the spacing is big. It's as simple as that. Same here. Now, this is build up, and the rhythm is getting a little bit more intense than what he has here. It's just building up into something. Let's see what it's building up to. It's like into nothing. Now here, the music is going from loud to quiet. So does the spacing. It goes from big to small. Now let's watch this section. And let's go back here. Doesn't that section look really similar to this? Only thing that's different is this. Instead of this shape, he has like this shape right there. Let's unfuck the map. Oh my god, what happened? The game just crashed. I think I clicked the undo button too quickly. I streamed like solid 250. That's how fast I clicked. So yeah, let's go back to this section. You can notice that's the only difference. So that means he has the variety in his map while still staying consistent to his idea, and he basically repeats himself there. Same. You can see the buildup is very same, it's just the shape of the sliders are different. Now, if we go and watch the previous build-up, I think it was somewhere here. I should have marked this before I started streaming. Uh, it's here. Look how similar this is to what we just watched. It's just pointy sliders instead of curvy sliders. I just literally jumped into sections and it looks same, bro. But it's not a copy paste. And we have this same section. Oh, never mind, it's not the same. It's this section, but a lot more intense than this. So you can see how minuscule the spacing here is. It almost takes like, not almost, it takes zero effort to hit those, as long as you can read this. And here, you need to read this, but you also need to aim this now. So there's a 2 difficulty elements instead of 1. So these, I think I don't have to explain why these are here, because there's a weird sound, and this is really good way to emphasize that sound, and it's just here. Slowly increasing spacing. You can see that by how much space you have in between the sliders. This starting as a really small square, then we have something just a bit bigger, something even bigger, and then the biggest square. And this part is like introducing a new element, which is, I don't think it's called a speed because it's a 170 BPM, but I guess a stream is the stream, because something that's 8 notes, I think that's called a stream if I'm not stupid. So this takes a little bit of a flow aim to hit, so it fits the song overall, because this part is like bit different from the rest of the song. So the part of the map is also looking bit different from the rest of the map. Somebody is getting himself banned. Renin Wogyu. Fuck you, man. Goodbye. He gone. He's gone, indeed. Like, realistically, what's the fucking point of buying the viewers if they're not gonna watch you? That's straight up stupid. So yeah, this is basically, I don't know how to explain this part really, because it's a lot of structure out there. Because you can see, like, to keep the clean aesthetics, the slider tail of the 5 perfectly overlaps with 3, And the movement looks something like this. Wait a second. We don't need this. What the hell? Wait, I think there was a button which allows me to just draw. I just don't remember what button that is. So the movement looks like this, which again is not a perfect triangle, but it is something relatable to triangle. So it would look something along the lines with this, which again creates this comfortable movement. And it goes this way, and this is another triangle here. So this is small triangle into big triangle. And then it goes down here. You see, like I was able to tell this without even seeing the objects, because that is intuitive. That's intuitive to player. And this here, on the other hand, this is just very same awkward angle. It's just made like this. And all the angles here, they're quite wide. Because he wants to emphasize this sound. And this is the way he chose to emphasize this sound. You don't actually have to, like, movement doesn't look like this, right? You don't do this movement when you play this map. You just go straight. You do this movement more. Maybe you follow it to here, and then you go to here, and then you go to here, and then you go to here. That's how your actual movement will look like. So this here is a cool pattern. What it does, it basically creates a very cool circular movement. So this slider is looking this way, looking at the slider tail to 3, which is pretty much where you would have to go. So you do this kind of movement with this. Hold out. You do something along the lines with this. And this really feels satisfying to hit, because you know you feel like Amarak when you hit those kind of patterns. And now, for sake of variety, he repeats the same idea, but it's done in a different manner. Now, instead of having this circular movement like this, hold up, this is a really bad drawing. So now, instead of doing this, again, he does something else, and now it's doing something along the lines with this. So now the thesis from this map is that the way you group the objects is having a huge impact on what your map is going to look like once it's done. And you don't only thing that you have to do is to stay consistent with your ideas. Because a lot of new mappers that I've seen, they come up with this idea and they decide to go like, oh, you know what? Next time I have this sound, I'll put circles. That will be really cool. And that is really not the correct way you do. Correct way of doing an emphasis is something along the lines with this, which also gives you variety while not making your map disjointed. Because visually, this pattern and that pattern, they have a really strong connection, but movement wise it provides you with different kind of movement, and that overall puts a really nice contrast to your map. Same about this, right? Same type of movement. Here it does like something different. It has same type of visuals. Okay, I'm stupid. It has the same type of movement but different type of visuals here. And here it does exactly opposite. It has same type of visuals but different type of movement. So there's a very vast amount of things that you can do in mapping. All it takes is like getting to the level where you can analyze all of this that I'm analyzing by yourself. Because obviously, I will not be sitting here analyzing every map you like for you, right? Let's leave this for the end. And let's go to Czar's map. Because Czar is probably one of the best mappers out there when it comes to this structure and everything. Because his mapping is really structure dependent. Let's watch the map first, and then I'll be breaking this map down. I'll go get some snacks while you watch the map. Hello, I'm back. Czar map. It is a Czar map. I'll also open the window. There's a lot of war in my room, man. Okay, now the best thing is that I was not looking at the map, so I don't remember what's happening in this map. Hold up. I'll probably be eating when I'll be doing reviews, because I can't be fucking talking while I have some food inside my mouth. Okay, so what do we have here? Okay, so what he does here. So now, in contrast to the previous map that we have looked, Czar here is using a lot of axes, which we didn't see in the previous map. It also did use some axes, but not to the extent where entire map is made on the axis, okay? Not entire map was the same axis the previous map. And same axis usually I mean, like say, when you have this circle, not the circle slider, and this is say 5 degrees, not 54, and you have another line here, say here, and this is like 10 degrees. This is already enough for me to say that the not entire map is the same axis, okay? So now what he does here, so in essence, we have this box, and inside this box, there's only two axes. This axis and this axis right here. Alright, same thing here. Let's take this pattern right here. So if you look, this really fall on the same axis. That is the very same axis this slider is following. And we also have this axis right here, which almost all the objects are aligned on this axis. And throughout the map, I'll show you how many times he repeats that while not making the map boring. Okay, so let's take this pattern. Same here. We have the two axes. Ouch. Right here. That's the one. And another axis is here. And you can tell that by this placement, because this kind of is the axis. It's just eyeball, right? It doesn't have to be a calculator mapping. Because if you do it like a calculator mapping, then that's gonna look like an AI generated map. Same thing here. We have two axes right here and another one right here. I should probably draw all the lines. I don't know. Just to make sure you guys understand this. Like this. And you can see that he has the space in between these objects and he fills the space with this circle right here. So a lot of the circles that we are going to see in this map is going to be just filler. So it just fills the space. Along the lines with this. Same here. It does very same thing. It's the same axis right here. So we have this axis. And this axis right here is basically same axis but inverted because it's a new pattern. And we have this, and this is aligned to this axis. Like a lot of complicated shit, bro. Okay. There's it's not really clear. Like it's really hard for me to break this down. In essence, this pattern right here doesn't do much. It's just two triangles overlapping to each other like this. And he just fills all this space with those triangles. And you see like we have a space down here, right here, and then he fills up that space with this. So that is the reason these two are looking like that. So it's basically creating a focal point where these sliders are same axis, like this. And by doing this, he creates this much space in the middle, and then he fills up this space with this triangle right here, and there's a slider filling this space right afterwards. So it's a lot of thinking ahead. Same here. I don't think this is the same axis. Yep, it's not same axis. Because the rotation on this likely is not 90 degrees and it's 120. But even though this slider is not the same as this one, it is same as this one. So it creates a symmetry to this, creates another focal point in between. Because like both of these sliders are looking away from this object, right? Like this. Hold up, I'll show you. It's looking this way, it's looking this way. So the intuitive thing would be to put something in between, which is this three right here. Because this creates you this space, right? Okay, there's a slider here. So you have approximately this space and it's ideally filled with this slider. Same here, right? He does the same pattern again, but no circles this time. Creates the focal point. There's a space in between. He fills this space with sliders, and there's another slider going this way, I think. Same here. But it doesn't have to be a perfect blanket, by the way, guys. Like you can see that the space in between this and this is not same. I'm pretty sure everybody who's not blind can see this. So it doesn't have to be perfect. It's just up to you, the mapper's preference. Nothing more, nothing else. So here we have something bit different going on than the rest. So we have this right here aligned. So this object right here is aligned to this one, which is parallel axis to this one. And then we have another one that's going down, which is in essence the very same axis, but it's just looking down. You can see that when I put this on top of the rest of the objects. And you can see like he creates this space by having this weird shape too. And if I play the map and I just select this space right here, you can see how well it is filled with this slider and this circle right here. And the rhythm intensity is of course lower than the previous part, because obviously this was a key eye and this is not a key eye. Now we are back into the intense key eye part. So same here. It creates a focal point with this. And then he fills the space with the 1 and 3. So this map is basically a bunch of repeated ideas, bunch of axis ideas, bunch of structural ideas. It's repeated, but it's done in a way that it's not boring. And that is very hard to pull off, okay? So we have another axis thing going on here. This and this are same axis. This is also same axis but parallel. This is just the axis that's looking down. And you can see that all the spaces are pretty much filled up. And then we have another axis here, which is like absolutely insane. This really requires you to be at that schizo level. Like, no offense, but this is pretty schizo if you ask me. Because by doing this kind of mapping, one thing that could happen to you if you're a beginner, you're not so familiar with this exact style right here, the simplest and most common thing that could happen to you is to be confused and lost in your own ideas. This happened to me before I was able to remember all of this. And it's not going to happen to you in one go. Of course, no. What's going to happen, you're going to close your map, take a like nap, go to sleep, 8 hours of sleep. You wake up and bang, you don't know like what the fuck did I map? What did I do? How did I do this? And you don't know what you did. So you got to be able to understand your own mapping. So I would not suggest to do this kind of mapping like from the fresh, like from the beginning. Okay, we're like 1 minute 30 into map and we still are looking at the same ideas. Axis here, axis here. He fills this generated space with the slider and another kick slider here and here. This is just a break. Okay, so before we watch this map, now what do you guys think he's gonna do here? So he does put the sliders on, like, let me draw a proper axis because I want to do a small quiz. We have this right here, right? This is the two axes that we have. So GG, rotor broke. I hope you been yours and not mine. Gotta use the hotspot. Oh shit, bro, that sucks. So most intuitive thing to do here is to fill this space that was created by this slider as soon as possible. So let's see what's gonna happen. First thing that we see, there's a next object right in between these objects. This fills the generated space right here. And there's gonna be something on the bottom soon. Right here. This fills the space that was generated by this slider. So the thesis here is that you don't have to fill all the space momentarily. You can come back to it. It's just a matter of you must be able to remember, okay, I have this open space here, so I gotta fill it somehow. And you gotta think, how do I fill it? What is the ways that I can use? Here, it's a pretty, like, it's pretty much axis here as well, but it's just a lot more complicated, like this. This is bunch of parallel axes, like this. And you can see it's all same axis. And yeah, the rest of the map is pretty much same. This is just a slider design, which I will probably get myself to do it because I don't know, man. A lot of things that I would say about the slider design would be really subjective, and I don't really know if I want to do that take. Because I will certainly get criticized by a lot of people, man. A lot of people who's gonna see the video. Because a lot of the things that I will say about making slider is gonna be very rude, and I don't know if it will make the sense by the end of the day. Because I have explained structure before to many people, like literally many people, but I have never explained slider theory to anybody so far. Maybe Mangi, I explained a little bit of a slider theory to Mangi, but nobody else, man. To be honest, this slider is out of context when you consider rest of the map. No, it's fine. Like, you could literally put a spinner or a slider here, and slider is certainly better choice because of how slidery the entire map is. So it makes sense, my boy. Like, if we were to have a spinner here, do you think this would make more sense? No, because there's no spinner here on the break. There's no spinner. There's one, okay, here. And there's a spinner because he was lazy to map this part. And here, it's a lot intense than here. So he does the slider. It's just choice of the mapper, bro. Map is turbo vanilla. Why would you put mega slider art here? Because it's Czar. And even though this is vanilla map, this is pretty much axis dependent map. Like there's not a single axis that's playing here. There's a lot of axes that playing here. Like along the lines with some might be able to see only these three axes, but there's axis is actually right here. This is the axis for this pattern. And it's really complicated, bro. High Ncfix Archisol. What you mean by Archisol? Who's Archisol? Also, this slider axis angle is too high. It's okay. The axis doesn't have to be perfect. Axis doesn't have to be perfect. It's enough. Thought you were Archisol. LOL. Oh no, bro. My name is. I go by Mouse. Also, the slider angle is too high. Yeah, so what I was saying, eyeballing the axis is more than enough. Like, do you think Snitcher was made with calculator? Like, if you look at this right here, none of this is perfect axis other than lines, bro. Only lines are perfectly aligned. And that is exactly why he has... why we have a curvy slider here. Because it's not perfectly on axis. If this was a line, it would be perfectly on axis. Anyways, on to the next map. Yeah, but wall map is built around Ghost Riders. Oh, like Snitcher. Well, it doesn't really matter. This map is pretty much what I explained so far. So now, this is not fully mapped, but this is really great map. So I'll break this map down to you as well. My guiding star. Let's watch it first. I'll be eating banana while you guys watch this map. Intense dissatisfaction with the world and a compulsion to my guiding star. Okay. So I think 90% of the people would agree that this is a very fucking cool map. In essence, this is a very simple map. It doesn't do anything special, I guess. It does look very special because of how well the idea is executed here. So in this part, we have a rhythm, which is not so intense, and this genre itself is called a progressive PCI trance. So what the rhythm does, we start out with this trance, I don't know, like trance sounds. Don't know what's the proper term. Then the song gets a little bit more intense, so we go into full active trance sounds. It's just very consistent with what it's doing and how well it executed its ideas. There. So you can see that, but I forgot to say, these sliders, they all look very masculine compared to what we have in the Ki section. Because why? Because this sound right here is a bam, bam, this kind of sound, right? It's not sound like this. This sound and this sound are very different. This is much harsher than that sound. Because the penny's tip slider, bro, come on. Kind of looks like a dagger. Everybody, like, Mange seeing dagger while Yuzor sees penis. I think there's gotta be something in there. It's gotta be the illusion slider. So what we do here, we switch rhythm to more active. Why? Because music it gets more active. We keep the sliders pointy, Why? Because the sounds didn't really change. It's the same sounds, but just the intensity that changed. What happens here? After this right here, it's just like breakpoint of the song. So guess what? We're going the feminist letters. Why? Because this puts really good emphasis on this break section right here. Because it's not pointy like the rest of the shit. And all of these are kind of going opposite direction. It's something like this. I don't remember where the slider was. I think it's here. So it's all going in opposite directions. And we are right back into the same type of mapping. I think this is offspring. Same here. Stop using your pointy sliders, do curvy ones. Now here, song gets like less intense than here. So what happens in the song is pretty simple. The rhythm density changes, not the structure. And this is a build up. And now we see this part. And inside this part, nice contrast between this section and the dagger slider section as well, because it uses different slider shapes. That's true. So now we have this part right here where the entirety of the map structure changes. Because why? Because the song is entirely different. It's almost like it's different song. Like if you were to cut this song right here and make this like different song, I would probably agree that these two are different songs. And what happens with the sliders is that we get rid of this, like, we never use this slider. Hi, Hamano. Oh, we hit the follower goal, but I did not even set this up. Thanks for the follow, guys. I don't know how the, like, why does Twitch set up the goals for me, bro? I did not set it up. Good morning, goats. Good morning, my goat. Amano, how are you? Hi, Weber. Follower goal reached. What the fuck? I don't know, bro. That's what I'm saying as well. Because I did not set it up. So now, instead of these pointy sliders, we have the curvy sliders like this. While it still has the red points, I think everybody would agree that this looks a lot more feminine than this. Because it's like, it's almost like these sliders are doing the good job of conveying what the mapper feels when he's listening to this kind of music. So it only makes sense, right? Entire structure change. I will not be explaining how these sliders really are made, because as I know from Weird, it's just his handwriting, and he just drew it on the paper and he made a map, and this map is key. This map came out absolute banger. And we can see that there's almost no movement, like here. You only really move the cursor when there's a slider. Like if you watch this part completely from the fresh, no movement on here. Here, no movement as well, because this is a slow slider and you gotta stop the movement. There's no way you can hit this fast. King Gizzard banger. King Gizzard's gotta be a banger. So long story short, the philosophy with this slider design is that you always have this type of movement. In almost every slider, you go circle. Same here. Circle here too. Circle here too. This is like low-key looks like upgraded Dorcata slider. And the idea in this part is that so we have the parts where it's basically alternating between the types of movement where we have these type of movement going into this. So we start from here and end to here. So imagine it's you playing. This is the type of movement you would make, which is very flowy. And then we have this type of movement, like this, which is something along the lines with this. It creates an 8, a zigzag pattern. And it's alternating between this pattern and that pattern. Here it's pretty simple idea. Fast into slow slider. Really like feels like you're feeling the sound because of how slow this slider is. And you can see that he's not missing out on anything because the movement here looks like a little bit like what Jazak had in his map. Like, it's something along the lines with this. And it really emphasized this sound. It's like bang, bang, bang. I think we had the same thing in the breaks here. Yeah. He should fix visual spacing on some parts. Seems like an oversight. Yeah, I think it's fine. This map is not even finished, Hamana, so it's like not polished yet. This is just rough sketch of the map. I just wanted to demonstrate how banger this map was. Those doubles feel like 1/6 when listening to the song. It's not 1/6, Jeff. Anyways, should we do a Destiny map first? Let's do it. So now we came to map. Like, this is like a little bit schizo map because of how complicated it is. I have never really tried to break down this kind of map. So let's see what's gonna come out of it. Because it's really fucking hard to explain maps like these, okay? This is something that usually your second voice tells you and you do it. Like the mapper intuition, it's called. So, what is the aim in this map? Aim in this map is to never stop the movement. You gotta have some type of movement everywhere. Why, you ask? Because this is a fucking movement map. I broke it partially in text before, but like I still didn't have intuition for a lot of things. I'll try to break it down for you, Chef. Movement. That's right. So now we have snare here. Like, you don't have this sound. Let's get rid of the hit sounds. Like, this kick is stronger than this. I don't know how to explain. Because you really gotta listen to music to get this. And Because of that, it follows the logic that the strong kicks have a kick sliders on it, and it flows into these circles, which is less intense than these ones. Really great music representation, not gonna lie. Where's the sound, bro? Okay. He does a little bit of the same thing like Czar. It's almost like he groups this in the box like this. Pretty big box. It doesn't strictly follow the same axis like this Czar though, because this is like more focused on the movement rather than axis and structure. But there's like a solid 8 point out of 10 given to the structure in this map. So don't get me wrong. So the way the movement works here, you get this type of movement that really fits the music, and depending on the combo color, the map also follows the different sounds layers, and it uses the particular slider design, structure, and the movement style. Well, unlucky for me that I can see a fucking combo colors. So the way it's done, it's almost like this movement right here. This snappy movement, this is pretty fast. So this is fast, right? So it's almost like it's setting up this movement that follows right after. And that is something that we're gonna see throughout the entirety of the map. And here we don't have vocals, and this is using like minuscule spacing. And this is stronger kick, so there's a kick slider and it's bigger spacing. So same here, like you can see that this movement right here, it's almost like it's setting up for this, because it kind of creates the star if I were to connect this. So this is very same popular star jump pattern, but interpret in Destiny's way. Let's put it that way. And this here, it just fits the guitar. And here you can see that this is kind of maps to guitar as well. And while this is going this way, this is going this way, I think. So it like emphasizes the two different sounds pretty well. And it's like pretty clear that this is not grouped together. Same here. It's a repeated idea where this is going this way and this is gonna be going this way, I guess. Oh, never mind. It's going that way. But the idea stays same. So this is just something that we have in music, and this is how Destiny chose to pattern this shit. Like you could have done literally anything else, but he did this, which is called a mapper's choice. And mapping consists of millions of choices that we make when we map this song. In essence, this is the same type of movement, it's just rotating the axis. And we have same repeated pattern here. It's I don't think this is a copy paste. So this sets up for this movement right here. Another repeated pattern here. Same thing here. So this one is going that way, and this one is going that way, which is, I think these are going into a little bit like samey direction, but the amount of movement that you need from here to here is so great that it really like feels like it puts really strong emphasis. And this one is going into opposite direction at least, like here. Hold up, like this, and then we have something like this. Here, the section changes because like no, it's not really a section change, but it's like a if we listen to the guitar here and listen to the guitar here now. So the guitar changes here. So what he does to make a contrast in between this section, we have this as a slow slider now. We still keep the movement going. And if you look at this pattern, it looks really uncomfortable, but it is very comfortable in essence because this is like same type of box pattern like this, where everything is put in the same place and it just plays good. Bro. I don't know what to say about this. Same here. It's always linear where you have like when you have these kinds of patterning, it's always going to be linear. So now we have this, and Destiny is just too goated with field usage. Yeah, it's pretty good field usage. So now we had a lot of movement going into these directions, and the song little bit changed. So to emphasize this sounds right here, what he did, he went into this part of the playfields. Same thing here, it's pretty vertical here. It's going this way. Now we have the same guitar riff as we had here somewhere. Yeah, for like here. And now if you look at this looks very much same as that one. So this right here, this looks a little bit same. Like if you were to make this smaller, like it would probably look like this. So all these sounds are really heavily tied together with the type of structure that the Destiny is using and the type of movement that the Destiny is using. So there's like no drums here, and that's why it's not mapped so calm. It's mapped so calm. That's what I meant by the combo color thing. They're both the same one using the same layer structure and the straight sliders. Let's see. But unlucky for me, like this color right here, this color, they are fucking same, bro. And this is like, what, white? Is this white? I don't think this may be like it. It's like dark white. I don't know. I'm really bad at colors. I'm sorry. That's blue? There's no way this is fucking blue, bro. This is not blue. If this is something different, if this is not white, it's gonna be purple. Because usually I always mistake purple for white and green for yellow. It is blue, no. I refuse to believe. But you can tell kind of they would be just by reversing there. It's kind of leaning into purple. So this is like same type of section this, like this, but it's much like calm and chill, and that is why it's made so chill. So this does very same thing as that pattern I just showed you guys, because this is just rotating the axis. And you can see that unlike ZAR, if we take this slider right here and compare this slider to some of the rest of the sliders, like obviously these two sliders are not the same axis, and that's what I'm saying, that Destiny is not so axis dependent as ZAR. This section is more similar to wide angle bit with a gap between, mainly back and forth movement and structure. What do you mean? Like this? Oh, this? Destiny hand places every angle. It's all intuition pretty much. Yeah, that's what I'm saying as well. This is not really similar to this one because you have different type of movement here. And you have different type of movement here. Like if I were to copy this right now and paste it right here, it looks absolutely same as this one, man. It's just more calm. This is basically a build-up. This is one of the most banger build-ups I've ever seen. So yeah, this is pretty much repeated ideas from the section before, but these ideas are like more buffed, a lot more buffed, because this is a lot more harder than this, a lot harder. Like this spacing right here, this is just fucking wild, bro. But it still creates this kind of angle, which still makes it somewhat comfortable and playable compared to this pattern right here, where the maximum spacing that we have is this, which is not really that big compared to this. Like you can easily tell by this pattern right here. Because this is pretty much the most intense part of the song. And yeah, there we have it. Destiny mapping, it's kind of hard to break down in like 10 minutes. Because I would probably need a separate stream to break down this map completely. Because I really gotta lock in, because I can do it on Whim like I can do with ZAR and Jazek's map. So yeah, in essence, what I'm trying to demonstrate is that no matter what kind of style of the map you take, you can see how consistent Destiny is with his ideas. Doesn't matter if it was ZAR, ZAR was also consistent. So consistency is the key, okay? If you make idea A and you have the same type of melody somewhere after you make this idea A, you repeat that idea A, but to not make it completely same, we just have some kind of variation, but the idea stays same. That's the thing. And not only this, Dragon, all of the maps that I've showed you so far, all of them were consistent with their ideas in one way or another. Basically, developing the idea. Exactly. Okay. Now, the last map on agenda is going to be Aphrodite's, because this map is very simple at what it does. You can see how small the spacing is, as well slider length is pretty small. And this map is very axis dependent, by the way. This might look that this is not the same axis as this, but it is. And I'll show you right now. Like this is same axis as this. Just a little bit offset because I eyeballed this. All of the sliders here are pretty axis dependent, and the idea of grouping in the box, it exists here as well, but the axis is going to be like this here. Okay, there's only one axis in this, and that's the other axis. Definition number 2 of axis. I just love calculator mapping. So what happens here? So far, I have never used the linear pattern because all of this was pretty snappy and pretty flowy. There's no linear pattern there. The moment guitar comes in, we have a linear pattern followed by this weird slider, almost like a triangle, because I thought it would be cool idea as most of the map is triangles to have this. And also you can see that this slider is very masculine because it's mapped to guitar. Same here, repeated idea, guitar sound, it's linear. This is basically, I don't know, like a slider. And to emphasize the guitar more, there's sounds here. There's a kick here, and there's some quiet snare sound here. I think it's hi-hat, not a snare. Transition in it, yeah. So in essence, I do the very same thing here as Czar. So look at this. I put this slider right here. So this axis right here is parallel to this one. It's not parallel actually, it's invert. And these two are parallel. And as this slider creates this space right here, I decided to put some slider in it. And by the end of the day, it pretty much fills up the space. Copy pasted slider, yes sir. And the movement wise, as this is a held sound, I thought it would be just a cool idea to have this like snappy movement, like fast movement from here to here, and stopping the movement completely here. And it worked out pretty well. Into the linear pattern again. This is just a simple movement idea. You can see that shorter slider is fast and the longer slider is slow. So that way you can really feel this guitar riff when you play this. Linear pattern again. Okay, you see, this is not a copy paste, bro. This is the same type of slider, but it's not a copy paste. Same idea here, but on the other side of the playfield, we have these two parallel axes right here. And this slider leaves me with this space right here, and this slider fills that space. Now, if you notice, the guitar stops being main instrument here, and the vocals start being main instrument here. So the structure goes into feminine sliders. And it's also a lot less intense than the guitar part. You can see like this is probably the only feminine slider that I have in this map, because this is vocals and not it's like very pleasant sound. It's not a harsh sound like a guitar. Bunch of repeated patterning here. Now guitar part comes in, and what I do here is that I use the sliders from here, like this slider right here, this slider right here, but the large versions of this slider. You can see this is like same slider as this slider right here. Right, you can see this, right? It's just larger version of it. And for sake of contrast, whose map is that? It's my map, bro. For sake of contrast, this is like spaced way much compared to the rest of the map. While still keeping the same idea, like linear movement on the guitars. And you can see, like, as this is a key eye, this is very same pattern, this right here. Like, what I do here, I planned beforehand because I wanted to have some space in between so I could put the next letters right, like this. So this is very same pattern as hold up, let me find it, as this one right here. But like much more powerful because it's a key eye. We can see like how much bigger that is. Same here, like twice as much spacing as the pattern before key eye. So here, what I do, I introduce this pattern right here. Because later in this map, at this key eye, I really wanted to do something special. So I came up with the idea of a kick slider guitar solo. So that's what I do in this part in essence. You guys will see in a second. So this is how I decided to introduce my idea. Did we look at mine yet? Or are we still structure essing? We're still at structure learning. So we get into the same type of, this is gonna be last map that we're looking use, or after this map, the structure lesson is gonna be over, and then we're gonna be doing some reviews for like maybe an hour or so, and then I'll probably end the stream because I'm very tired. So now we get into same vocal main instrument structure, part, not the structure. And here, this part, if we listen to this part and compare this one, you can see that this is a lot more intense. Why? Because we have a guitar playing here. So I do following. You remember how I did this with guitar here? Where was that? Like this pattern right here. So I take this idea and use it inside the vocal section by doing this. Because you have no movement here while you have some movement here. And this is extremely overspaced to emphasize the like this do-do-do sound. This is guitar, so it's linear. Same type of idea here. with the movement stop. So this is very same pattern as this one right here. Hold up, let me find it. Where the fuck you are? This one? But like buffed version of that pattern. Because this section obviously is more intense than that one. A lot more clickable objects as well. And this is pretty much the same KI part. The thing with this KIs is that the one KI was clockwise, or I think this is clockwise maybe, or I don't know, and the other KI was anti-clockwise, like this. And yeah, this is the guitar part. So this is basically a bunch of movement ideas, and it's gonna be quite hard to explain because you know this is something that really comes with an experience. Wait, what the fuck? I like how it gets spaced more. Just a quick rundown. When the guitar pitch goes higher, the spacing gets higher. When it gets lower, the spacing gets lower. When the guitar pitch is higher, the movement is more. When the guitar pitch is not like lower, the movement is less. That's how the kind of ideas I did here. And for the better impact, like if I were to make this quick slider, it would not have as great impact as it has while it being slower. Because entire slider section emphasizes the guitar, and this particular slider here, it emphasizes the kick. Pretty much the same KI section, but with more guitar elements. So I do the same thing. I use the sliders from this part inside this KI. And we go into this part. Like it's same part, but at the ending. So yeah, I think we got everything down. I tried to explain all the rhythm choice, movement, visuals. Actually, let's mention a word or two about the overlaps. I think we're gonna use this map because I'm lazy to find a map that is doing some crazy shit with overlaps. So to put long story short, you will not find a single object in this map that is overlapping a slider body. All the objects are overlapping slider heads or slider tails or half of the slider body. So basically, no more than this, like only like this part or this part or this part or this. Like this is the type of the overlaps that I really like to go because that looks really clean and I really like that aesthetics. So let's go into some Like even this guitar part here. Let's do this one. So you can see only slider tail. Hold up, let me show this pattern fully. Let's use this one. So this pattern right here. What kind of overlaps we have? We have this, which is basically a slider tail. We have another here, which is another slider tail. So it's very consistent with the kind of overlaps that I have in the map. Same here, slider tail overlap. Same here, only half of the slider overlaps with another slider like this. And it's just, believe me, it's gonna be same everywhere we go, other than this pattern right here. Because this puts really good emphasis on the guitar solo right here. Take this pattern right here. So there's an this, these two axes here. This is also on the same axis. This is on the same axis as well. And overlap wise, we have only this and just the slider tails and slider heads. So usually whatever you do, being consistent at what you do brings out the best result. Be it the overlap, be it the rhythm, be it the spacing, doesn't matter. But the thing is, consistency is something that's subjective, okay? So how consistent you want to be with your ideas, that's completely up to you. But believe me, on my word, all the greatest mappers out there, they are very consistent with their ideas, and that's what make them great mappers, okay? So, yeah, with this, officially, the lecture is over. So I'm not a teacher mouse anymore.